Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks, everybody, for being here this morning. A happy Thanksgiving week. A lot to be thankful for, and it starts with our seniors. This group of young men have had so much success. Sitting currently at 39 wins is just one shy of tying, the best 5-year run in program history. So one more win obviously gets them tied with that group. But JB and Tommy, Jake Collins, Chad Hanaoka, Nate Hall, Blake Montre, Trey Clock, Alonzo, Jared, Flynn, Ben, James, Steven, Jelani, Jordan, Clayton, Solomon, and Fred, man. I'm just so thankful for those guys and their families. It'll be a bittersweet day at Ryan Field Saturday, but one that we'll definitely celebrate. I want to thank all of our senior marching band members. Obviously, Num was with us up in Minneapolis, and appreciate them making the trek all the way up there. And obviously our great cheerleaders also that are seniors and their support and being with us every step of the way. We've got 10 combination of equipment managers, athletic trainers, and video staff students that are also having senior day on Saturday. And that group's with us every single day. Our equipment staff sets everything up before we show up. Same thing with our video staff. Our athletic training student trainers are in the same boat, getting our guys prepared for practice with pre-practice treatments. And then they're obviously on the field, taking the field apart as an equipment manager, breaking down the video, and then post-practice treatment. So we're very thankful to that group of Elliot, Samantha, Sharon, Zoe, Sophie, Will, Dan, Rory, Catherine, and Annie with all that they've done throughout their careers to help our program. And that's obviously have success. So it'll be an emotional day. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully you use that as motivation. Looking back quickly at the game, players of the game, Clayton Thorson was our offensive player of the game. I thought he was really efficient and really played well. Riley Lees was our offensive big playmaker, some big plays by Riley. Travis Willock, a little disappointed he wasn't mentioned for Big Ten Player of the Week. I didn't know you can get that when you lose. And then Ernest Brown was a defensive big playmaker. I thought Ernie had one of his best games. Kyrick McGowan with the big kickoff return. Hunter Johnson on our offensive practice player of the week. Defensively was Brian Bullock, and special teams was Jackson Tremonia. And Jackson's done a great job all year. I'm very thankful he picks up every role. Clayton took another step into the record books. He's the 6th Big Ten player to surpass 10,000 career yards. I think he ranks 6th in Big Ten history with 10,113, which is ridiculous. And then Nate Hall obviously had 2 big picks and had a really good game. This week with our opponent obviously taking on Coach Smith's team, I've got great respect for Lovey. He's been a great friend. We've known each other for a long time. You look prior to the last game, they were as explosive as anybody in our league offensively. Scoring 41 points over, almost 500 yards a game. And Coach Smith has done a great job in his first year as our offensive coordinator. A.J. Bush is really impressive to watch on tape. And so is Reggie Corbin. I know he was out, came out 2 weeks ago with an ankle, and then only was in a couple plays on Saturday against Iowa. Man, is that a devastating 1-2 punch in the backfield. Ricky Smalling is a young man, a receiver, Brother Rice kid that we had here in our 7-on-7 almost every year, and is an explosive athlete. I've known Nick Allegretti, their guard, for a long time, and his family, and he and Doug Kramer, I think, are 2 really physical guys inside in our offensive line. Coach Buckus does a great job with them. Jake Hansen, to me, jumps out on tape. I think he's a really active linebacker, and same thing with Bobby Roundtree at defensive end. He's got, 8.5 sacks, pretty close to the top in the Big Ten. And then Nathan Hobbs, is a guy that's been in their defensive backfield for a long time. Their kick game had a tough one Saturday, but from a kicking standpoint, really impressed with their specialists. I think they're really good. So, you throw the records out in a rivalry game, and it's coming back down to us preparing the right way, and I anticipate that our guys will here in the holiday week. So it's a little bit longer than I usually go. Sorry for that, but what questions can I answer?
Any updates on the condition of Flynn Agel?
He's doing terrific.
Nate Hall?
Awesome.
Okay. And then the guys who were out this past week in the secondary, any updates on where they're at?
I'll give it to you Thursday. But they're all here.
That's good.
Yeah.
With Nate suspended for the first half, what's the plan for the linebacking group? And after reviewing the tape, what are your thoughts on the targeting call?
I'll go second question first. Like I said after the game, I think it's really challenging to tackle when you're trying to turn away from hitting a guy. Again, I'm a proponent. I believe in why we've gone to the targeting rule. I voted yes when we started talking about it as head coaches a number of years ago. But we had serious concerns as coaches that it was going to be overcalled. And, the whole thing was how can you judge intent? And we can do it in every other sport. We go to the tape and review fouls in basketball. Like I said, in soccer, there's a yellow card and a red card. I think that needs to be reevaluated. We've been asking for it as coaches now for a number of years. We had the same thing with Patty last year in the bowl game. I think we can all look at a targeting hit and we say, yep, that's exactly what should not be in our game. And then you see hits like Patty's and Nate's, and you just kind of go, he wasn't defenseless. He lowered before we lowered. I don't quite understand how you tackle a guy when you're trying to turn and then you can't play in the next game. I don't believe it's the officials' fault. I think they're just doing what they're told to do. But there's no appeal process, so that is what it is. As far as who plays, we'll have a plan. Those guys will be excited to play. We've unfortunately had to deal with this in the past. We'll have a plan to get Nate ready to go at halftime, and he'll be ready to go for the second half.
Is it possible that this rule can change next year and it can be like the level 1 and 2 that you're talking about?
Well, I would hope that you and all your colleagues would help us with that, because I think the number one reason why the NCAA doesn't do it is, well, there'll be a public backlash. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And quite frankly, I don't know why they care. They should act more like coaches and care what's right instead of what people say in everything. But this is probably a rules committee deal. And there's probably, you got to remember, on a lot of these committees in this bureaucracy, there's people that aren't even football schools. And I think the intent is we don't want to look like we're going backwards on taking helmet hits out, which is a bunch of BS. I don't think any coach wants to have helmet hits. I don't think anybody coaches it. I think, again, taking any playing time away from a player is significant. And Nate Hall can't go out and start on senior day because of an antiquated rule, in my humble opinion. Again, I don't fault the officials. They're doing what they're told to do. It's got to be looked at. It's got to be addressed because, again, we've now had multiple over a couple of year period that everybody looks at and goes, that's pretty ridiculous that the kid's got to miss time because of it.
And think about this. I mean, do you warn your guys heading into the second half of this Saturday's game to be extra careful?
Yeah, I think you do that. You take the guy's stingers away. I think it's the way that we teach and we coach tackling every single day. Nothing changes. You just got to be really disciplined with it. And I mean, like I told Nate, I said the only thing you should have done differently is not tackled him. Right. And then I'm going to be ripping your rear end for not tackling the guy. So I thought defenseless, it was a big part of that play, and that's a runner. I just don't understand it. But Nate's attitude was great. Like we always do. I don't know if you guys, we've had a couple of these, but we go right to the locker room, we go take a shower, and away we go. That is what it is. We're not going to argue with it. We're not going to fight it. We're not going to be mad at the officials. They're just doing their job.
Mentioned this earlier. Illinois obviously has had a tough season, but in a rivalry game, does any of that matter? Does it just go out the window?
Yeah, I mean, we've been on the tough end of this rivalry too at times. So I know the demeanor and the feelings that they'll have coming up here. This is a big rivalry game for both of us, and this is the game that I talk about the most when we get together as a team. When we talk looking big picture, and it's a big deal. Playing for the Land of Lincoln Trophy is critically important for us. We've been fortunate now 3 in a row, and hopefully we'll find a way to get it done on Saturday. But there's a lot for us to play for. Our guys are very excited for the opportunity and look forward to sending our seniors out the right way at Ryan Field for one last time.
Talking about recruiting, obviously there's a lot of crossover between here and Illinois. How important is it you have guys like Clayton and JJ who are local kids? Is it extra special when you play against Illinois?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to recruit who we recruit, the guys that fit our program and the guys that we believe are going to help us compete to win a Big Ten championship and take the next step beyond that. So, I don't really concern myself too much with who else is recruiting the guys that we recruit.
Fitz, could you tell us how the bare-chested warm-up evolved during the week, or was that a spur-of-the-moment thing, or what?
It did not evolve during the week. That was Clayton's idea pre-game, and the strength coaches came to me and said, well, that's fine. I'm not doing it. I think it sounds pretty dumb to me, to be quite honest with you. It's cold as heck out there. And the guy that I'm really most disappointed in is Mick McCall. You know, I thought he was much more mature than that. So that was, you know, I got some of my guys sent me some stuff. Who's the creepy old man? That's Mick. I'm sure his daughters are embarrassed. Nobody's more embarrassed than Joanne.
Clayton had his 5th rushing touchdown in 4 games against Minnesota. How have you evaluated his rush game so far? And to build off of what you said after the Minnesota game, how do you think that'll help in the final 3 games of the season?
Well, I think he's feeling better. I think he's getting stronger. You know, the previous 2 weeks, you know, he was pretty much under the weather, not feeling great. And, you know, I thought he battled through those games. And he's feeling much better. You could tell. You could just tell on Saturday he was feeling much better. So he's been through so much. I'm just really proud of him. I mean, I probably am sounding like a broken record, but, you know, he's what is his career start, 51, I think, for him. You know, that type of toughness and durability is almost unheard of in our game. So I'm just really proud of him and the rest of his senior classmates. They've really taken our program to new heights, and I'm very thankful for him.
You talked on Saturday about feeling disrespected but in various ways, partially because of the slow start. When you look back at the Duke game, the Akron game, how do you think this team has changed since then that means that people shouldn't take those performances into account as much?
Well, you know, typically you forget what you do in September and you remember what you do in November. And we didn't play very well. And if you watch the games, it's not hard. You got those of you that were there. We turned the ball over. We had some guys not obviously ready to play when injuries happened, and they did not perform to the capabilities that I think that they have. So we got to do a better job coaching them. And I thought both those teams played really well against us, which you tip your hat. But, you know, we beat ourselves. And, you know, it's tough to beat 2 teams on any given Saturday. But we're moving on. It's a new week, and we're focused on this week.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you've been in this situation before as a coach where you knew you had a specific postseason game against one of 2 teams before, you know, like after the game that you're playing this week. When do you start looking at film, start analyzing this Ohio State and this Michigan team? Does that start immediately after the game? When does that start for you?
You know, yeah, well, I kind of have in the past from a bowl game standpoint where we've kind of gone after our game, and then there's some things that may shake out, and we start breaking down. I shouldn't say we. Let me pause. All right, our quality control and our GAs start doing that, which they absolutely hate me. There's guys coaching in college football right now that I made them break down 5 teams in a week, and they're like, you know, texting me when I'm on the road recruiting. We're not playing these guys. We're not playing. I don't care. Break them down. So, you know, that group of guys is always a week ahead. So their job is to make sure that they're organized, their attention to detail is where it needs to be. So when we come in on Sunday morning as a coaching staff, we've kind of got our routine that basically after our 1 o'clock staff meeting, now we move on to the next opponents. So we'll stay with our normal routine where those guys will work a week ahead like they always do. That's a really good problem to have going into rivalry week. I hope to have it the rest of my career. And I hope the East has to have 2 teams fight, scratch, and claw to get to the game, and we're already there. That's a good deal.
I noticed you guys, your best quarter is the first quarter. Can we tie this in at all to strength and conditioning guys? And like I was thinking about it, being out on the field shirtless, kind of being all pumped up. Is that too much of a stretch? Or
yeah, that's a pretty far stretch, but I would tie our success into those guys. Yeah, I mean, I think Jay Hooten and his staff do a terrific job. It's so funny. Jay's not the one who's on the camera for a reason. That's not who he is. And not that there's anything wrong with the other guys, but that's just not Jay. He's a terrific leader. He has an outstanding plan. We've been together now for a long time. We learned from one of the best in Larry Lilja, and before that with his mentors at Ohio State, Coach Johnson and everybody who was with there. He's a tireless worker. He's absolutely relentless in the development of our guys. The way that we've organized and structured our strength and conditioning I think is as good as there is in the country. And I say that knowing that I'm going to eventually lose one of our 4 guys, that are our assistants. If I'm a new head coach, this is unfortunate season of the firing season and the new head coaching season. The first guys I would call to be my strength coach are my 4 assistants. I think they're absolutely outstanding. I would never want to lose them, and I'll fight to keep them. But those guys, like I said a year ago, are our secret sauce. They are absolutely fully involved and ingrained in our coaching staff. They sit in every staff meeting. They're a part of every decision that we make. They work hand in hand with our athletic training staff, our medical staff, our nutrition staff, our assistant coaching staff. I mean, it's fully integrated. And I'm really proud of the job that Jay does. He doesn't get enough credit. He does an absolutely terrific job.
Anything else for Coach?
Where are you guys? Are you happy with where you are now in terms of the line of scrimmage? How your O-line and D-lines are playing?
I think that's a day-to-day discussion, to be quite honest with you. I think the Big Ten, no matter what, is going to always be a line of scrimmage league. And, I think that's an area that we will always need to recruit at a high level to be consistent. I think we will always have to develop there at a high level. And then we've got to be fortunate, number one, for guys to stay healthy. It typically happens in that area, both those groups, that when a guy gets out of a cycle, it's like a year. It's like removing a year just because of how much development has to go into that position. It's a universal problem. Everybody I talk to, I have this kind of corner office club of head coaches that we kind of share and talk. We're all dealing with the same issues when it comes to the line of scrimmage. The development of that position with the lack of practice happening at the high school level right now is really hurting that development. You don't hear about this summer offensive, defensive line camps that are coming out. You hear about summer 7-on-7s, right? So we're taking that group out of a lot of the development at the high school level, and it's crept up to this level. And then when I talked to one of my mentors and friends, Tom Cable, on Sunday, they're dealing with the same problems on Sunday. I just think it's a universal football problem right now with where we've allowed our game to go at the lower levels. And my hope is that we've bottomed out and we can start to now go back and practice football. And we need to practice it more at the line of scrimmage because unless the rules completely change, it is still the essence of our game. So we've just got to keep doing a better job. But it's just not it's not unique to us. This is a football conundrum, so to speak.
Both sides or one side?
Yeah, both sides. No, without a doubt, both sides. I mean, there might be 5 to 10 schools that can go select defensive linemen in recruiting. Congratulations to them. We're not one of them. So we're going to constantly have to recruit the right fit, guys that stay healthy so that they can develop and get stronger. And that's the key thing. Do you get the functional strength? And then if we take a guy that might be really athletic but needs to add weight, does he make that growth? Do we take a guy that's maybe a little bigger that's got to work on his feet? Does he really get those things? I mean, I wish we could go select. We're a developmental program, so we've got to just continue to get a better player, more competitive depth, and develop them better.
So sort of building off of the start of Teddy's question, at least, you guys had a little bit of a defensive line explosion in the passing game on Saturday with the 4 sacks. What do you think that group did better in the pass rush side of things?
Well, we missed 4 more. That's kind of what pisses me off more than anything, to be honest with you. I didn't think they could drop back on us. We went into the week saying if we make them drop back, we should get double-digit sacks. They're almost 100% RPO team. So they're going this way on everything. And the minute you had them going in reverse, you had them where you want them because I think they're really, really good at their RPO game, really good. And, I thought our front was really active. But, we missed at least 4 more sacks that I saw. So I think we can be a lot better up there. We had some pass rush lane issues. But I thought they played well. I really do. But I just thought we could have dominated up there.
Is Travis Willock playing at a level where it doesn't matter which guys come back healthy, he's got his spot?
Well, competition, you know, we're in a pretty good place from that standpoint right now at that position. So we'll see how that thing plays out. I mean, he keeps playing well, then we'll see how it plays out. But I don't have a crystal ball to see where things will go.
Pretty fast.
Oh, like I said after the game, I think he's a great player. I thought he was a great player in high school. You know, when we signed he and Patty, I thought that was one of the best recruiting coups that we've ever had. You know, they jumped off a tape. It was statistically one of the best defenses in high school football history. To win that state championship at their level in Texas, Coach Joseph and that defensive staff at Katy High School are you put them up there with anybody in the country. And then to get two of their best players was a great job by Batesy. And you know, we had been recruiting Katy since back when I was an assistant down recruiting Houston. So then Trav gets banged up coming in. So he had been hurt for last year. He hurt-shirted, so to speak. And then, you know, started the year again banged up. So we hoped he'd get out in the kick game. And now opportunities presented itself, and I think he's showcasing his skill sets. But he can play a lot better. There were a couple issues that we had communication-wise back there that, again, you know, sophomore and JR and him, those guys are young safeties. And it's no secret we formation adjust a lot of things that we do. And there's a lot on their plate mentally, and that group's got to just keep getting better.
The Austin Carr touchdown?
No, I heard about it, though.
With Bowser, we saw Minnesota sort of contain him in the second half, first time in like a month that anyone's really been able to slow him down. We saw this with Nagel earlier in the year where he went off for a few weeks and then defenses started to key on him. Do you think this is going to be a new challenge now that it's sort of reached the point where teams are going to start to focus on stopping him?
No, I think we have to execute a lot better. I think there were some things that we had on Saturday that we made a conscious decision to continue just to run the ball. There were some things there that we left on the field that I'm fine with because we won the game. But you know, if you're going to overpopulate some areas, we've got to be able to take a little bit more advantage of where there's weakness in the defense, and we made a conscious decision to run the football and just keep running it. Where you know we got to diversify, but we felt like we could do that on Saturday, and that was the goal, especially in the fourth quarter. We felt like if we just start shortening possessions and chewing clock. You know, if we don't give up the explosion pass play, we probably keep it a 3-score game. You don't see our starters after the 10-minute mark, right? So we obviously did not get that done. And that was kind of, against that team, that was the goal going into it, and we didn't get it done, so that was disappointing.
Fitz, can you just talk about what you like about J.B. Butler and his journey?
Yeah, you know, JB and I were talking this morning. JCA is playing for a state championship this weekend, so it's pretty cool. I'm happy for his high school, and you know, a guy that again, like a lot of our young men that have walked on, just looking for an opportunity. Great student out of high school, terrific football family. When you popped on his tape, he was just tough, physical. You talked to him when he came up here on his unofficial visit, and he just exuded his love of the game. And he's just been a guy that I think has gotten better each week this year. And, you know, he was nominated for Player of the Game this week. And I thought he was really physical on Saturday. He'll have his hands filled with the Illini front this weekend. But, you know, you like to see that for your seniors to go out and finish their career the right way. And, you know, obviously he's playing at a high level right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Cats.